have more join once we get going, but we will be recording the session just so everyone on the call is aware. So those that have joined a little bit late will have the opportunity to go back and review it later. It will be recorded and posted for you to access later. But we want to welcome you here tonight. For those of you that are already in New Brunswick, it's a beautiful night outside tonight, so we appreciate you taking the time out of a beautiful evening to join us. But the purpose of our session tonight is to talk about just a bit of a college preview for those of you that are already admitted to the program and planning to join us in the fall. Just an opportunity for us to give a very high-level overview of the programs, talk about the services available to you, and kind of give you a preview into what your fall semester will look like. And most importantly, we're going to give you the opportunity to ask questions that that you're thinking about, wondering about, just so you don't have to have those questions in your mind from now until September. So on that note, I'm going to introduce who we have with us tonight, representing NBCC. So first of all, we have Haney Kamal, he is with our international education team. He's an international education advisor. So he's going to be here to answer some questions a little bit later on any of the questions that our international students might have. Yep. We also have Jay Peters with us. Jay is one of our international business management instructors. And Jay, you've been teaching the IBM program for, I'm going to guess, 5 or 6?
Yeah, well, this will be the fifth year, Trace. Yeah.
Okay, going into 5th year. And my name is Tracy McPhee, and I am one of the HR management instructors. Our HR management program has only been in St. John. We'll be going into our 3rd year, so we're finishing up our 2nd year. So I've been with the college since the program came to St. John, and I am the coordinating instructor for both the IBM program and our HR management program, which is in both St. John and Moncton. So some of you on the call may be designated to St. John or Moncton. Any of our international business management students on the phone, that program is currently just in St. John. And we have Mary Lynn with us. Our academic chair may be popping in to join us at some point during the call as well. She's not here right now. All right, so Jay, I'm going to get you to go to the next slide. And I'm not going to ask anybody yet to turn their cameras on. I will encourage you when we get to the Q&A a little bit later in the call to maybe turn your cameras on and ask some questions. Won't be required, but I'll encourage you to do it. I might require you in the fall if I'm teaching you, but I won't require it now. But first thing, I'd love to know, for those of you that are on the call, where you are from. Some of you may be from the New Brunswick area, and I know many of you are not. So in the chat, if I could just have you type into the chat where you're from. I won't call you out, I promise. Okay, we've got some representation from India, Ukraine, great. Brazil, wonderful. Dominican Republic, Colombia, great. A couple more answering, so I'll give it a minute. Cameroon and Fredericton, wonderful. All right, so Jay, if you just go down, I'm getting Jay to drive the presentation for me. So we're gonna have a little bit of an icebreaker, nothing too stressful for a beautiful Wednesday evening, but I'm gonna ask you your preference between 2 things. So a little bit of game of this or that. So my first question for you, if I gave you the choice between next click, Jay. City or country? What's your preference? For those on the call, city or country? Ooh, overwhelming response for country right now. Any city lovers in the group? Okay, one. Oh, couple city responses at the end. All right, let's look at our next one. Passenger or driver? Do you prefer being driven or do you like to be the one driving? Ooh, lots that like to be in control. Welcome from Nigeria. You see that response? That's great. Okay, I got a whole lot of drivers. Did I have any passengers in that chat? I don't think I had any passengers. I do. I do like to be the driver, but I'm okay to be the passenger once in a while too. Okay, next one, Jay. Beach or mountain? I am overwhelmingly beach. Kind of mountain from Jessica, beach, mountain. I do love the mountains in the winter, but if I had to pick between the two, I would definitely pick beach. All right, a little mix of both. All right, next one is night person or morning person? I am a night person. Wish I was a morning person, but I'm not. Oh, I think we've got more night than morning. Few morning, some night. All right, great. And then I think this is our last one. Yes. So given the choice, and this kind of leads us into what we're going to be talking about next. If you had to pick between virtual learning or classroom learning, which would you pick? I am with Jay. I like the combination of the two, which good news is that's what we're going to have next year. Okay, classroom, virtual, classroom, both. Classroom, both. Both. Okay. Well, thank you for participating. It always helps, and both Jay and I will reiterate in the fall, the more you participate, the more value you're going to get out of the classes, whether it is in the classroom or virtually. So we appreciate you humoring me and participating in that icebreaker, and I look forward to getting to know you better in the fall. But if we'll go to the next slide, Jay, I'll just kind of give a preview into what we're going to cover tonight. So first of all, this is really just most importantly a welcome to NBCC. We're excited to have you joining us in the fall. We know once you're accepted into a program, that comes with a whole lot of questions, and we wanted to give you an opportunity before the summer came just to get a preview into what the program looks like and ask any questions that you might have. So we're going to look at some sample schedules for both the International Business Management Program and the HRM program. I do know some of the names in the chat are familiar to me, so I do know we have representation from both programs, so that's great. We're going to look at a program map that shows you what courses we're going to cover in each of the post-diploma programs. And then we're going to talk about some resources available to you. And then the latter part of the session will be strictly Q&A. What questions do you have? Jay and I will answer them from an academic standpoint. Haney can field any international student questions that are out there. And if there's questions that we can't answer, we will take them away and come back to you with either the right person to talk to or an answer to your question. So any questions at this point before we move on? All right, Jay, I think I will hand over to you if you want to start with the International Business Management Program.
Right, great. Thank you, Tracy, for the introduction, and thank you, Haney, for being the moderator on this discussion today. Also wanted to give just a quick shout out to Sean Etier and Mike Wright and recruitment team. Those guys do a fantastic job supporting us faculty and putting the right students in the right program for their future success. So kudos to those guys. So like Tracy said, I apologize if my audio isn't that clear, guys. I may have a little bit of background noise coming from my laptop, so I apologize for that. But like Tracy said, my name is Jay Peters. I'm the lead instructor for the International Business Management Program. It is a postgraduate program, as you're probably well aware, 1-year certificate program. Now, the International Business Management Program has been at NBCC for 4 years now. This will be the 5th year. It was originally developed, guys, to to help Canada leverage and manage its current international trade environment. You may know Canada has had a bit of a trade environment landscape change in the past few years with the signing of the USMCA agreement. So Canada has had to go out and find new trade partners, and as such, guys, we need those skills within our country to manage and leverage those new trade initiatives. So there's a need for these skills in our country, and more importantly here in New Brunswick. New Brunswick is a very strategic location geographically and economically speaking, in terms of Canada's strategic objective for international trade. So even more importantly, these skills are required here at home in New Brunswick and in the greater maritime region. So that's a bit of background about the program. Let's see, I think my next slide is, let's see if this actually works. So this is a quick video that was developed back in 2018. It was developed before the COVID pandemic, so you may see some social distancing not being followed. But this video, guys, will give you a little bit of an idea of the flavor of the experience that you can expect at NBCC. So I hope that the audio works and everything here. I might need to stop it and try again, but fingers crossed. Okay, so although college is a lot of work, guys, we do like to have some fun while we're here as well. So good job to Sean being the main actor in that video. Great job. It's a lot of fun. So hopefully you get a sense of sort of some of the things that we do at NBCC. Okay, so to my future students, let me just tell you that I'm extremely happy to be talking to some potential future students of mine. Every time or any chance that I get an opportunity to talk about the International Business Management Program, I get excited, and I always put my foot forward to represent that program. So here's what you can look forward to in the fall. This is a draft timetable, but I'm quite certain that not a whole lot is going to change between now and the fall. What you will notice is that there's some blue squares with the acronym SMT. We call that student managed time. Okay, so you are expected to be working on assignments, but not necessarily in class or in virtual class during those times. In the International Business Management Program, you'll see that we end each day at 3:20. Okay, so the last period of each and every day is yours to manage yourself. We find that students appreciate that extra flexibility and allows them to to schedule their own times. You'll also notice that most of the learning in this program is morning oriented. Okay, the majority of our lectures and majority of our classwork is done before lunch. Okay, much to my chagrin, Tracy's question about day or night Oh, there's nothing on display. Can anybody, Tracy, can you see my schedule?
I'm seeing your schedule.
Oh, okay. So maybe.
I'm seeing your schedule too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sorry for the participant that can't see. Maybe you can jump off and jump back on the call, and it may show. I can see the screen too. Okay. Well, thank you, Flor. Right. So most of our learning does happen before lunch. So I noticed that a lot of you guys may have been night people. So we're gonna have to change that up a little bit, but that's okay. That's part of college, adjusting our schedules and in being in class on time. So. Okay. So first period on Monday morning, guys, all the way till about 11:20 in the morning, we'll be in class doing international trade research. Okay, that is a very introductory course to international business. That's where we gather resources and gather data in order to present conclusions on business decisions. What you will enjoy in this program is a year-long capstone project. Our international business students work on an international business plan all year long, and by the end of the year, our students have developed a professional international business plan as a demonstration of the skills that they've learned. So international trade research is the basis of that international business plan. You'll see that the fourth period on Monday, we switch into international risk management. International risk management is all about mitigating risks and managing risks in the international realm of business. Most of these risks can fall in the categories of commercial risks, financial risks, social risks, and currency risks, to give you an example. The last period on Monday is a course that every single NBC student has to take. You'll see it in the purple square. It's a course called Work Safely. So every student at NBCC must take that course and pass that course in order to graduate from their program. Organizations across Canada realize how important it is for them to be safe, and more importantly for their employees to be able to work safe and not only work safe but recognize and understand when conditions are not safe. Okay, so that gave a bit of an overview of Monday's schedule. On Tuesday, you'll see that the first class in the morning is International Trade Research. I will likely designate that as a work period for my students, so that you can prepare for George's classes for the rest of the day. You'll see that the second period on Tuesday is Consulting Across Cultures, and that is taught by my counterpart, George Daniel. Okay, he'll teach you Consulting Across Cultures and Professional Sales. Moving into Wednesday's schedule, I plan on only having lectures and work periods until period 4 on Wednesday. Okay, periods 6 and 7, I'm going to designate those periods to work in your project groups. Okay, much of the work that you'll do for me, guys, is going to be within a group setting. Okay, within a team setting. And these 2 periods on Wednesday afternoon will likely be designated to get together with your groups and accomplish the work that needs to be done. Okay. Thursday's schedule, you can see that the first half of the day you're in class with George, doing Consulting Across Cultures, and then there's 1 period in the afternoon on Thursday where you'll be focusing on professional sales. Fridays, guys, are likely going to be 100% online virtual class. Okay, most of the time on Fridays I'll do lectures in the morning and assessments in the afternoon. Okay, we'll likely have quizzes and exams, presentations, and so forth on Friday afternoons. Okay, so if there's any questions, jump in at any time, guys. But I thought that it would be important for you guys to sort of know what to expect come the fall. All right, so you'll see that that schedule, guys, is only the first half of the first semester. The first 7 weeks of school starting on September 8th, which is the first class for you guys, or September 7th, I believe. And after the first 7 weeks, guys, we get into the second half of the first semester. And you'll notice that 2 of your classes change, okay? Your international trade research class changes into international market entry strategies. International market entry strategies is all about determining what is appropriate partners for the market that you're pursuing. Okay, so whether you're going to work with a distributor, a wholesaler, a retailer, or some form of middleman in order to enter an international market. You'll notice that international risk management changes into international trade law and ethics. International trade law is an extremely fun course for me to teach. I'm fascinated by international law. And this is where we examine the different sources of international law specific to international trade. We also examine and analyze different disputes around the world and the resolutions of those disputes. So I keep on seeing many people joining our call, so that's kind of exciting. And so those will be the 2 new courses that I teach you guys. But you'll notice that George Daniel will continue teaching corporate social responsibility instead of consulting across cultures. And then he'll continue teaching you professional sales.
Probably make this smaller.
So the first half of the first semester, guys, the first 7 weeks, and then the next 7 weeks, your schedule and expected time to be in class and online does not change, okay? So that's a quick overview of your schedules. Those of you that are in my International Business Management program. Let's see what the next schedule is. Right, so that's only the first fall term, guys, that we reviewed. This slide will give you an idea of all of the other courses that you're going to be taking in international business. So you'll see in the winter term, there's courses like e-commerce, international trade finance, global value chain, and so on and so forth. But I'm not going to get into those details tonight. You'll also notice that in the spring term, there is a practicum available to students. It's a 5-week practicum that students can do after the academic portion of their learning. I think that's the end of, yeah, it is. Yeah. So thank you for sticking with me through those schedules, guys. Hopefully that gave you an idea of what to expect in the fall for those international business students. So I'm going to pass it on to Tracy.
All right, thanks, Jay. And I do see we have several more joining. We've doubled, I think, since you started your schedule. So for those that were a little bit late joining, Haney is with our international education group. He's recording the session, so and he'll be available to answer questions in a few minutes. But we're recording the session; it will be posted. So if you've missed the early part of the meeting, it'll be available to watch later. So thanks, Jay, for covering the IBM information. I'm going to do a very similar format for the HR management program, but what I would like to know, and I had said that some names are familiar to me of people that I've spoken to as they consider their program options, but maybe if some people don't mind popping in the chat which program they are designated to for the fall. So which of you are planning to take the International Business Management program, and which of you are taking HRM? So for simplicity's sake, just IBM or HRM is great. Okay. All right, seems like we've got a good mix of both. Right, Graham IBM. Okay, that's great. Thanks for those that have given that feedback in the chat. So the HR management program, you're not on mute. It's just causing some background noise for others. So if you don't mind just muting your mic. Perfect. That's great. Thanks. All right, so the HR management program is a 1 year. Typically, it's a post-diploma. So most of the students that come to the HR management program come with a degree prior to their enrollment in the program. Some come with either work experience within HR or other business experience. So we tend to have a mix of both. And we have a mix of both domestic and international students. So this year, between the two campuses, we actually had quite a large cohort this year. We had 48 students between both the Moncton and the St. John campus. We anticipate similar numbers for next year. So between the two campuses, we have 4 instructors. I am designated to the St. John campus. We will have another part-time instructor working in St. John. And then in Moncton, we have a full-time instructor and another instructor who teaches part-time in the business program and part-time in the HR management program. The HR program has been in Moncton for, I believe, 12 to 13 years. And as I had said a little bit earlier in the call, the program in St. John, we are just coming out of our 2nd year. So my first full year with the college was last year amidst COVID. This is our first full year that we were able to get through the full program. There is a practicum that I'm going to talk a little bit more in a minute, but the practicum last year, because of the COVID situation, was canceled. But my students this year, I have 27 students in St. John, and all of them are currently amidst work practicums. So that is one significant difference between the HR management program and the IBM program, is the work practicum for HRM is required. All right, so Jay, I'll get you to advance and we'll just take a look at what a sample schedule looks like. And yeah, you might want to make that a little bit, yours was a little bit easier to read, Jay, so maybe you could make it a little bit bigger. Is that possible? No. All right, so I'm not sure. I apologize, that's not bigger. I'm having a hard time seeing it, so you might not be able to see the print. Are you able to read those courses? Or I can talk to the color coding, and then when we go to the next slide, it talks about the different courses that we're gonna, yeah, I guess you could do that. Take a snapshot and zoom in on it. And on the next slide, I'll talk about all of the courses that we're gonna cover over the course of the year. So from a scheduling standpoint, we have some courses that are full-term courses. So those courses will start in September. They will run through December. And then we do have a student success week midway through. So we follow what we call a 7-1-7 schedule. So for your full-term courses, those are going to start in September. They're going to go through to December, but you'll have a 1-week break in the middle, which next year falls the last week of October. For other courses, they are only half of the term. So you're going to start them in September. They will go through October, and then that course will finish. You will start a new course in November and December. The way that we will be delivering the HR management program in the fall is what we consider blended delivery. So that means approximately 40% of the time you're going to be in the classroom, and 60% of the time you will either be online with me instructing virtually, or you will be working with groups online through MS Teams, or you may have some independent working sessions. So for every class that you're in at any given time, it is a 6-hour commitment. And of those 6 hours, we will break it into 3. So for example, for the attraction and retention course that I will be teaching in September, 2 hours will be in the classroom. 2 hours I will be instructing online, and then 2 hours will be an independent working session. And when I say independent, sometimes you are working in groups, but we aren't actually all together in class during that time. We will try to keep, especially when you're working online, and we were completely online this year, we try to keep instruction together to 4 hours a day, because looking at your screen for more than 4 hours a day is challenging. So we as an instructor team try to schedule so there is no days where you're looking at your screen more than 4 hours. There is a great deal of group work in our program. So throughout the year, you're going to be working with different instructors, you'll be working in different groups, and we also have part of our curriculum, we have industry projects. So in November, December timeframe, you'll be designated with a small group to an employer working on an analytics project. And then after Christmas, we have a 90-hour course where from January through until April, you're working with potentially the same employer. If that project carries on into a strategy project, it could be a different employer that you're working with in the new year. So since that slide is so difficult to read, Jay, I'll get you to go on to the next one, which should be a little bit easier for them to read. Yeah, there we go. It's a little easier to visualize. So this is the breakout of our courses by term. So as you see, we do have 3 terms. In the fall term, our full term courses, so the courses you're going to be covering from September through until December, are attraction and retention, organizational behavior, and the business acumen course. So those 3 courses are going to carry you through the full term. The other courses are all half term. So Monique is saying she's not seeing a slide. Are others seeing the slide? I'm still able to see the slide. Yeah, okay. Monique, you might need to log back out and log back in to see the current slide. Haney, you're seeing the schedule. Yeah, sometimes that works if you go out and come back in. Yeah. All right, so 3 of those courses are full-term courses. The other ones will be broken into either September, October, break in the middle, and then November, December. At any given time, you're typically in 6 courses. Now, for some courses, we will be teaching across campus. Probably 2 or 3 of the courses you will be, if you are in Moncton, the Moncton campus, you'll be in class with students from St. John. The majority of the courses you will either be grouped by St. John or Moncton. The benefit of us teaching across campus, even though they're larger class sizes, it helps you build those contacts with the other students who will be your future HR colleagues down the road. So that's the September to December fall term. In the winter term, very similar. We have the Employee Labor Relations course covers the full term. Our industry project, that is going to be a full term January through April project. And the compensation and benefits course covers the full term. The other courses are all half term divided by 2. And Jay had mentioned Work Safely before. That is it 15 hours, Jay? I want to say it's 15 hours. It's a 15-hour online course that all of our NBCC students participate in. And the benefit of covering that program in the second term, one of the benefits, it aligns very closely in the Managing Occupational Health and Safety in the Workplace HR course that you're going to take. So in the Work Safely course, you're learning from a student and from an employee perspective, what are the things you need to know to work safely? And then in the Managing Occupational Health and Safety, we're talking about the practical application of how you manage safe work. And then last but not least, in our spring term, you participate in an HR management practicum. So those practicums are full-time commitments. Up until now, the practicums have been 5 weeks long, but with the change in the curriculum this last year, we've learned that there's an opportunity to increase that to 7 weeks. And we have overwhelmingly positive response from employers saying, we really appreciate having these students working with us. 5 weeks really isn't enough time. We kind of get geared up in the first week and then only have 4 weeks with them. So if you have the flexibility to increase that, we would like you to. So very likely next year, the work practicums will be 7 weeks long. Now, the student practicums are coordinated by students. So you're going to reach out to your contacts and arrange for the practicums. Having said that, we provide a lot of support with that process. We reach out to previous employers, let them know that when our students will be starting practicums. We provide information to students on previous employer hosts So we want you to drive the process, but we are very supportive in the process. Several employers who have posted before or have hosted before post positions early in the new year. So you have the opportunity to apply for any of the positions that you're interested in. I'm just looking at my notes to make sure I've covered everything. And I think I have. Any questions specifically about the HR management schedule before we move on? Of course, we will spend significantly more time during orientation week. The first week of class, we take the first 2 days. We go back through all of this, give you time to digest all of these schedules and ask any questions. This is really just a preview of what we think the schedule will look like at this point, reserving the right for some changes to happen. All right, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, so let's go to that next slide, Jay. So we've talked to you specifically about IBM schedules and HRM schedules. What we also wanted to let you know of is the supports that will be available to you through the student development team. So all of the things listed here, which I'm not going to read for you, I'll let you read through them yourself, but those are the supports that we have in place for students. So if you're looking for any more information on any of those listed, there is information on the website about most of these. And for anything that you're looking for specific information on, I'm going to encourage you prior to September to reach out to the student development team if you're looking for those answers before. And if it's something you're just curious about, you want to know a little bit more about, there will be specific sessions talking about these services available to you when we return in the fall. So this is just a glimpse. So if there's something that you're concerned about, know that there are supports in place and you will have more information to follow on those. So that is our formal agenda. If you just want to flip to the next slide, please, Jay. Now we'd like to know, oh, do we have a blank slide? Oh, no, there is. So what else do you need to know? What questions did you come with tonight that you were hoping to have answered and you didn't? So if you'd like to, and whether that be a question for Jay from an IBM standpoint, for me from an HRM standpoint, Haney is here if you have any international questions, if any of the international students have questions that they want to ask him. But really, go ahead and ask whatever's on your mind. And as I said earlier, if it's not something that the three of us can answer, we will track down a source that can get back to you. So feel free to pop it in the chat, or if you're comfortable to turn your camera on and ask the question, we would welcome that as well.
Just while the students may be writing questions in the chat box, Tracy, I just wanted to reiterate a little bit about those resources that are available to students. And I'm just going to click back a slide and,
sure.
and just sort of talk about how important it is to have these career and well-being counselors available for students. You know, going back to school, guys, is a daunting task. It can be stressful. It can be financially stressful. It can be emotionally stressful, and especially for students that may be coming from a different country. We have these well-being counselors that are quite versed and very well trained and compassionate and caring individuals that are there to really help the students transition to life at NBCC. And I really want to encourage students that if there's any hesitation or if there's any feelings that you're not 100% comfortable with, I really encourage you to reach out to those counselors at NBCC. I can't iterate how important those resources can be to some students. So.
Great point. Thank you for that, Jay.
Yeah.
All right, so Marcel's wondering how soon will we get our book listing? So book lists are being finalized right now. We just want to make sure with the publisher that there are no updated additions to any of the books that we're currently using. Typically the book lists are up the last week of August. So you will be able to access those at the bookstores. If you are physically here and go into the bookstore, the list will be there available to you. If not, we will cover them with you when we start back up in September. For my program, and I'll let Jay answer this question as well, for my program, several of the textbooks that we're using next year, we have used this past year and also the year before. So in many cases, you can access used books, and more often than not, there is an e-version available as well, which for most of the courses, for any of my courses, I'm comfortable with using e-versions if that's your preference. Jay, do you want to speak to that from your program standpoint?
Sure. Like you said, the book list will be available sometime mid-August. The book list for the IBM program has not changed this year. However, without going into many specifics right now, there's not a lot of opportunity in the IBM program to use used books. And I can get into those details with my specific students later. But we will be using the same book lists that we have used in the past.
Okay. And Anthony is asking, for HRM, in terms of books and course materials, is there anything else that I'll need? Anthony, there's not, other than your laptop, which everyone will need for the program. The requirements for your laptop are outlined on the website, and I should have that link. I don't. But it gives the requirements for the laptops for our live programs, which both IBM and HRM are considered a live program. Other than that, there is really nothing that you're going to need before you get started in September. Are notebooks required, or can notes be taken digitally? That, for my program, is really student preference. I have students who prefer to take manual notes, but most are recording in their laptops. Thank you, Jay. Quick turnaround on that one. There's technology requirements.
Same for me. Same for me. I don't have a preference whether you take notes on a laptop or on a notepad. However, if you do have an older laptop, I find that the keys can get a little bit loud in the actual classroom. So I would encourage, if there is, some loud typing, it may disturb some of your fellow classmates.
Preference on laptop. For me, as an instructor, I do not have a preference. I have students with both that use Macs, if that's your preference. It really does not make a difference to me. Jay, do you have a different answer to that?
No, as long as it meets the technology requirements outlined on the website. And I can't stress how important it is to have a good working laptop in the IBM, and I'm sure in the HRM program as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Many hours for class. So typically we run between 8:30 and 4:30, similar to the IBM program. That last hour, we in HRM also don't typically fill with class time. But when you are working with employers, sometimes you are required to extend your time depending on what their needs are. Sometimes classes run 1:30 to 4:30, but typically it's an 8:30 to 3:30 schedule.
Right, and yeah, and same goes for IBM. Just to answer your question, Marcel, what can we expect the first week of class? Will there be orientation activities? Well, typically in the past, there has been some pretty fun orientation activities that first few days, but with the COVID situation, we're not quite sure exactly what orientation is going to look like this year. I do hope so. In the past, we've done all sorts of fun things together with the HRM students, whether it's have breakfast or outdoors activities or different types of icebreakers and games. So like Tracy said, some of your fellow classmates are going to be lifelong connections, so we might as well start those connections early.
Yeah. And, hopefully we can do some activities together. Hopefully there are some blueberry pancakes involved in your orientation, but we'll wait and see what COVID restrictions allow. But if not, there will be icebreakers and orientation with your own groups, hopefully in a classroom for a portion of the week, which we anticipate if we continue on the COVID path that we're on now. There will be opportunities for that orientation to happen in class. If not, we made it work virtually last year and we can again this year. I see another question coming in. We'll just wait. Great questions. And there's no bad question. So feel free to ask. Haney, is there anything that you want to add?
Yes, I can just add that NBCC International Department conduct information session for international students. Usually we do we conduct 3 sessions a week, but those sessions are more related to general admission information, immigration specific information. So I'll just probably leave a link here for upcoming international sessions, information session here. So and this is specifically applies to international students. So guys, if you would like to join us next week, please do so by the link that I provide in the chat.
Okay, great. Okay, Marcel is not asking a silly question. It's a very good question.
It is.
Monique, I'm going to come back to your question because I do want to talk about stats in the practicum, but I will ask this question while we have Haney on. So is there somewhere to access clothing for a particular season? Asking as I'm coming from a tropical country where there is basically summer all year round.
So usually at NBCC we do not provide clothing. However, during our pre-orientation, pre-arrival webinars, we will touch basics on clothing in Canada. So all accepted and admitted students to NBCC will receive an invitation to pre-arrival webinars where we're going to touch in great details different topics such as health insurance, transportation, banking, and clothing. We just please stay tuned and check your email. We will send you additional invitation for webinar. In regards to the clothing, I would just what I always advise students, just not to rush, not to buy over too much clothing when you come to Canada. There is a couple places where you can look around to buy clothes, such as Value Village and other places, especially during Black Friday. So yeah, we will guide you guys in this regards during our webinars.
And then do we have to purchase separate insurance for when we arrive till school begins?
So it's a great question. So usually your insurance will cover you from August 17th. However, if you're planning to come earlier, it's not mandatory, but it's always good idea to purchase pre-arrival insurance. And in regards to this, I will just refer you to insurance provider. It's GuardMe by the link below. So please contact GuardMe in regards to the pre-arrival insurance. Let's say if you are planning to arrive in July, it would be a very good idea to buy insurance, and insurance would be provided at discount rate for all NBC international students. So it's not gonna cost a lot of money, but it's a good thing to have when you come into Canada. Once again, so insurance will be the insurance for international students will start covering you from August 17th, as far as I know right now. But if you're planning to come earlier, it would be advisable to purchase early arrival insurance. Okay, there is a question, how does the school hostel function? So at NBCC, we do not provide housing, so it would be your responsibilities to look for place to stay while you're studying. However, we have housing guide with specific information for each campus, and I will just drop a link to our housing guide. You can browse this and look for information that we prepared for all students who's coming to studying at NBCC. But it would be students' responsibilities responsibility to look for place to stay while you study at NBCC. Okay. There is a question about is there somewhere online we can see on campus jobs? I'm not sure about this, Tracy. I know that the jobs you usually post at campus, but I'm not sure if this would be available for students.
Yeah,
Online.
Yeah, I don't know about the student positions. Like I do believe that there's going to be some international student positions available next year. I'm not sure that it will be on the website, but if not, it will be emailed out to the students as though that information becomes available. I do want to go back to Monika asked a question about practicum. Are there any stats on students who end up staying with their employer who they work for? So the practicum isn't necessarily designed for it to be a continuation of work. Ideally, when those situations work out, that's great. It's really to give the students the practical application of the theory that they've learned during the year. Having said that, as I said in St. John, it's just the second year of the program, and last year practicums were canceled. But of the 27 students that are currently on practicums now, 6 of those students do have either contract offers or continuation of employment. And then we also have a couple of other students who have received offers, not from the practicum host that they're with, but with employers that they were involved with an industry project during the year. So those connections certainly are important. It's part of the networking experience, and yeah, those are all good news stories. So hopefully that answers your question. Anything else?
I see some students keep joining our session. Yeah. Just want to remind you guys that this session will be available. So recording of the session will be available later on NBCC website. So if you just join and miss this session, recording of the session will be available later on NBCC website.
All right, Jay, I think we can go to the very last slide. So we want to wish everybody a great summer. If there's not any more questions, we are close to our end time, so we will finish up. But as Haney said, the recording will be available. I know a few of you just joined in the last few minutes, so I would encourage you once it's posted to go back and review it. And we're happy that you joined, and we look forward to having you join us in September.
Yep. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for your time, and stay safe and have a good evening. Bye.
And thank you to all my future students. If any of my students have any questions, they can email me. Here's my email. Reach out anytime with any questions you may have.